Hello, welcome to the PhoneWord Forum on Wednesday, September the 30th, 2015. It is 4 p.m. Eastern Time. My name is Jay Carpenter. I'm the moderator of the PhoneWord Forum. Today is an open session, and we're going to cover a few topics. The topics are the continued topic of blockchain and what's possible with the blockchain, and then an update on what seems to have been happening with Modern, also the Nancy meeting that happened today, and basically that's about it for today's topics. So it should be a fairly short session. Again, this session is likely to be a short session, an open session. I'm expecting in October or November, the PhoneWord Forum will resume with bringing on guests and talking about topics in a little bit more depth than we have over the last 4 or 5 months. So thank you for tuning in, and let's go ahead and get started. What I'd like to talk about first and foremost, let's talk about the Nancy meeting that occurred today. And Nancy, for those of you that might not know, is the North American Numbering Council, and this morning there was a session in Washington, D.C. at the Federal Communications Commission. And some of the highlights of that meeting were, number one is apparently there's been an article that was produced in the Washington Post regarding non-toll-free numbers, telephone numbers that are being marketed, bought and sold, and apparently there's going to be some sort of further investigation by the Nancy or by the one of the advisory committees of the Nancy. I had not heard of this particular article, but apparently it's raised some interest. So that's one thing. And the other thing is that there was some conversation about the, let's call it prototype that's been posted at e164.space. And I guess that will be further discussed at the future numbering working group meetings and perhaps the Internet Protocol Issues Management Group, or IPIMG. So those were a couple of the highlights that I noted. And there was some other conversation about switching that apparently is not completing calls. That was interesting to note. And basically just some general conversation about the process of transferring from the time division multiplexing network, or TDM, the public switch telephone network, into an all IP network. So it was fairly lively conversation today, and it'll be interesting to see what develops from that meeting. So on the other note, well, the other thing that was mentioned was the IETF Modern and STIR group. I don't really follow the STIR group, but the Modern group seems to have kind of gone into a bit of a dormant state here most recently. So at least since the IETF Internet Engineering Task Force meeting that occurred in Prague. So that was interesting to note as well. Let's switch topics a little bit and talk about the